Hey everyone, and welcome to an acrylic beach painting lesson. Today we're going to be painting waves crashing on the shore, a moody, stormy sky, and I just hope that you'll have a lot of fun and learn a few new acrylic techniques. Go ahead and gather your supplies and we'll get started. Hi guys, I thought today we would work on a very simple ocean scene. So I'm going to be using some blues, some yellows, lots of whites. I'm using a prepared canvas that we worked on in a different lesson. So if you do not have a prepared canvas, you can go back to that lesson and start working on that. Otherwise, you can use whites, a bit of red, and some purples to make a nice background composition color for your ocean scene. Okay, so I'm going to start with some blues. I'm going to be using an Artist's Loft Brilliant Blue. I'm going to be using Royal Langnickel Light Blue. Again, any light and dark blue and white will be perfectly fine. Acrylic paint. I'm going to get some on my palette here. Probably going to be using quite a lot of white today. So something like this. I'm going to be using a 3/4 inch brush. 5/8 or half will be fine as well. So kind of a bigger brush. And what we're going to start out with is just kind of laying in some water on this prepared purple, light purple, mauve colored canvas. So in my preparing the canvas video, I used some darker colors over here and some lighter down here. So I'm going to start with the canvas with the light down here, which will be the sand and sort of a more light ocean area, and then this will be the sky. Okay, so let's start out by mixing the dark blue with some white. We want to come up with a nice ocean color blue here. We'll be making several blues today by mixing and using what we have. So I kind of like this as kind of a medium color blue. Okay, so you pick the blue that you want to start out with, sort of like a medium, nice medium color. Now I'm going to set this aside, but I'm going to see about 1/3 of the way down the canvas. I'm going to sort of try to place a horizon line. This is going to be an ocean, a very simple ocean scene in which we're fading off into the distance, like as if we're walking down the beach. You'll see the sand and some light little waves coming in. But so we're going to have a nice horizon way back here. And it's okay if it's a little bumpy. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. We're just going to kind of start with a nice little line there. We're going to very softly just sort of start bringing in some blue here. And I'm holding my brush in a horizontal motion here and just sort of going right along the canvas. I'm going to let some of this purple poke through. And I'm also not going to go all the way to the edge here because I want a jagged edge, which is going to be where the surf is hitting the sand. Okay, and it's okay if you accidentally go too far or didn't go far enough. We can fix this because we're going to be working back and forth between the sand and the sea for most of this painting. Okay, I'm just sort of placing things right now, guys. sort of a jagged edge. Maybe it comes up a little further in certain areas. And I'm using a technique where I'm not rinsing out my brush. So it's sort of like dry brushing right onto the canvas without overly rinsing, because I want to get, I don't want too much paint on the canvas, and I also want some of my purples to show through. So that's what's going to make this a really interesting and fun and dynamic painting, is the fact that bits of this purple are going to show through. So I like that. So about there, I'm going to stop with this color of blue, but I'm not going to rinse my brush out yet. I'm going to grab a bit of the dark right onto my brush and just sort of mix it into the light that I had just created, but I just want a little bit of darker version of it. Okay. So about like that on my brush, and then just want to come in and place a few bits of darker area off in the distance. So this will be like when you're looking at the ocean and that water that's way out there is just really a lot darker. So I want to bring in some bits of dark here, and I also want to mix it in with what is there. Okay, so something like this. It doesn't take much, just a little tiny bit of paint goes a long way. We don't want globs and globs and globs of paint. I'm going to pay careful attention to this edge over here. I'm going to kind of fill this in a bit with what's there. So now, as you can see, I've got the purple in the background, I've got that lighter blue, and I've got this darker blue, and it's kind of starting to fill in a bit, which is what we want. Now at this point, I'm pulling both the dark blue that I just mixed and the lighter blue that I had before, and just dusting it on there, trying to fill this in a bit more. Take care of this edge here. So now this guy's starting to get a little bit more filled in. But there's still areas that have less paint, especially over here on the seashore. Okay, so I like that. And this is all kind of about your preference of what you like. I'm gonna put a little bit of this light blue color in, because it's just much lighter than anything else. If you don't have a light blue on hand, you can just add more and more white, and it's gonna lighten that guy up. And I'm just gonna start creating some spaces for waves. Now with the waves, I'm just sort of dabbing this light blue on. I'm going to do this again with white later. So if you're not liking what you're seeing, don't worry, because we're going to be working back and forth on this for quite some time. All right, so I have this light blue on my brush, and I'm like dabbing it upwards. So I'm getting so I'm dabbing it on the tip, and then I'm smushing it a little bit. So I get that like wave look. It looks like the wave is going right, crashing right over. And that's what we want on this painting. We want a lot of surf and sand and just a ton of waves coming in. If they look, these ones back here looking too big, so I'm gonna kind of back that off a little. I don't want it to be too wild out there. All right, so as the waves trail off, they're gonna get smaller, and as they're closer to us, they'll be bigger. And then we can do lots of little bits of surf here. This is sort of, you know, like a windy day at the beach. It's real choppy, lots of waves, lots of surf crashing on the sand. Right. So it's starting to look like something now. You just kind of, you know, almost like a sponge paint from the center of the brush. And then you don't like it, you can kind of work it out more, smooth it out. So it's a back and forth motion. You can come right up to these waves and just swipe to mix the paint. And then it looks like it's barreling over, which is kind of fun. All right, so this is looking nice. Smoothing this out just a little under the wave. And this is just going to take, you're going to have to play a little bit in order to get the little technique down, but it's a smush of the middle of the brush, makes it come over, and then a swipe underneath it. And we'll have some more videos practicing waves. But there you go. So that's kind of starting to turn into something. Okay, I want to switch gears for a bit while this is drying. I'm going to rinse out this brush. And I'm going to mix up some yellow and white and some light pink. Okay, again, so I'm using like Artist Loft Essentials from Royal and Langnickel, and I'm just mixing these colors myself. I'll show you my palette in just a second. Get some more paint on here. I need lots of white for the sand. Okay, so a light pink, a yellow, and a white. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab a clean brush. I'm not gonna reuse that same brush that I just used because that's gonna get a lot of tinges of blue in it. And so I'm going to mix a bit of yellow and light pink. Try to come up with a sand color that I like. I don't want it to be too yellow. Okay, so something like this. I like that. Now, we are going to get some blending into our blue, and that's okay. It gives this painting a really nice feel of mixture. So I don't want to get too much, but we're going to get a little. Okay, so I'm going to do the sand similar to the way that I did the waves, but I'm going to be coming from this direction. It's okay to let a little bit of that purple seep through. Okay, so this is like if we're on an island and we're just taking a nice walk down the seashore of this choppy ocean day. And that's getting quite green there because I'm using quite a lot of that blue, so it's going to be your preference how light you want your sand to be. You do a nice mixture of where the sand meets the waves. I'm just going right over this, right up into our waves here. And we'll probably have to lighten the sky up a bit, like the sand's a little bit yellow for my liking. So we're just, you know, taking a walk on the beach, and there's just all sorts of things happening here. We've got lots of sand, surf, waves, If you want to add shells, you can even add some little shells there, or rocks and things. I'm going to keep it really simple for today, just to show you how to set this up. All right, so we've got some type of sand coming in there now, and we're going to need some white on this sand because it's just looking too dark. So I'm going to go right back over this, mixing in some white. You can see how it just mixes on right on the canvas. Just easily lightens up there for us. And there will be spots that we'll need to fix later. But right now we're just sort of, trying to place our main things, which is our ocean, our waves, our sand. Okay, and now I would like to add, I'm going to keep my brush with that mixture on it, but I'm going to add in a bit of purple for the sky and start working on some clouds up here. And we can create some sort of really interesting moody sky with some purple, pink, white colors. So I'm just mixing that right into these old colors here. Create some sort of lavender color, and then I'm going to swirl this brush around up here and try to start placing some interesting clouds. All right, so I'm swirling this in. I want to have places that poke through with that mauve color that's on the background. All right, and then tinges of white here. Make some fluffy clouds. So it's almost giving this illusion that it's a storm, or it's like a dusk time. Like an interesting little sky here. Move this back. You can go down to the horizon line if you like. All right, kind of setting that in. So now I kind of have the three different things. I have the sand, the sea, and the sky. It doesn't look perfect at this moment, but everything is starting to kind of be placed. All right, so I'm gonna rinse out that brush, and this time I'm gonna grab a medium round brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start doing some detailing, okay? So I'm gonna go in with some white. And I'm gonna go to the waves and the surf, and I'm just gonna start adding a bit of detail here. So I'm just doing a nice light brush stroke with the side and the point of my brush. And I'm just gonna pull this wet paint onto the sand. So it's looking like these waves are crashing and they're creating that nice surf. And then likewise, I'm going to use the white out here to just make the tippy tops of the waves. You can just outline it. It can be a broken outline, with the side of your brush, so it looks a little bit more natural. You can pull some of that nice light color down so it looks like the waves are crashing. And this is really just like a fun technique of placing this white and using kind of dabbing down the side of your brush so that it can look more and more like a wave, which is so fun. So it's going to take a little practice. And see if you can come up with something that you're liking. You can have areas that are a little bit more blurry and areas that the white is a little bit more defined. And just kind of softening up this sand and sea meet up here. Nice and soft. I'm just going to keep working on this until I feel like there's enough white. And I feel like this sand is blending in enough. And this painting just gives kind of like a really nice, relaxed vibe to it. So that'll take some time. As the waves are out further, your detailing is going to be slightly smaller. When they're in closer, you can make it a bit thicker, and then you can do that under area of the wave crashing as well. Okay. So hopefully you're having some fun doing this and it's not too frustrating for you. Just sort of trying to blend and bring in a whole bunch of like this white water surf. And here I'm getting really a lot of mixed color, but I kind of like that. Makes it look a little more natural. Turn your brush to the side and try creating the little barrel underneath the wave. I like the blending. This isn't like it isn't 100% realistic. It's a little bit abstract. I like the blending, kind of makes your mind think like, where does the sand start? Where does the wave start? Almost makes it kind of magical. and I like that. Adding more white to the top of that wave. My brush is starting to get pretty full of color, and so it might be a good time to rinse it out or grab a new brush if you're getting too much color. And if you've gotten too much white, like I've got a little too much white here, I'm gonna just use the tip of my brush to sort of pull this down and give it a little motion so it looks like the wave is going to crash. All right, so this is sort of starting to come together a little. A little more white on the shore here. All right, so I'm liking this. I'm rinsing out my brush just because I'm getting it a little too full of different colors. I'm gonna come back in with some more white on the shore, and I'm just dusting, just a little dust here. Just want to make it look like that foam of the sea is coming inward. And it's gonna, get smaller as we get further away. Now's a good time to grab a little bit of blue again, and I think I need to bring this ocean in just a bit here. Slightly darker. So this is just going to be working back and forth quite a lot. Do I need more waves? Do I need more sand? Do I need more light blue, more dark blue? Okay. So I'm taking away a little bit of my sand over here. I just feel like this ocean's a little wild, so I'm not going to have it come in. Not going to have the sand go out quite so far there. All right, so I'm liking the blending of all this. I'm getting lots of nice colors. Maybe just a little bit of blue down here just to let your eye know that there was water there. And I kind of like that. Okay. It's almost like a dream in a way. Okay, cool. So this is starting to feel really nice. I still have pieces of purple poking through, and I really like it actually. It's looking good. And then again, you can also go back and add more of your sand color. You can blend it around with your finger a little bit, because you're just kind of trying to come up with a color that you like here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I do need to fix something, which is way up here. I got a little bit of cloud on my horizon line. So now is a pretty good time to try to straighten this horizon line slightly. Gonna do a nice edge. You could do this with the light or medium blue, or you could go dark because sometimes the ocean looks really dark way out there. That's pretty good. It's a little bit bumpy up here, but that's all right. If we want to straighten it just a little more, add just one little bit more layer here, we can. Or we can just leave it. Okay. It's looking pretty good. All right, so the last thing I need to finish up here is the sky. And I'm feeling like it needs a bit of pink in it. So I'm gonna use this light pink again. Maybe mixed with a bit of purple. Just feels like it needs something up there. So grab some purple, some pinks. And just kind of come in, soften this guy up a little, swirl it around. Skies are really fun because you can just sort of layer different colors. You could even add birds. Right. Softening this guy up a little. And likewise, I think I need some sort of darker color up there as well. So I'm gonna mix purple with my blues and see what I can come up with here. I don't want an identical ocean color blue. That is not gonna work because it's gonna look too similar. I want more of a periwinkle color up in that sky. So I'm getting something like this, and then just gonna do some sky outline here, some like cloud outline. See what I can come up with. This is gonna take some working back and forth as well. A little bit more purple into that. I'm just layering and mixing around, and I know this is going to need some white as well because I don't want it to look too similar to the ocean. So let's get some white. Fluff up these clouds. I'm just kind of smushing it around here. See what we can come up with. I'm holding my brush at an angle here, using the side of it. Just add more white in certain places and move it around until we get something that we like. And kind of push your brush a little. Let pieces of the dark shine through. Let areas be more white. Smaller clouds down close to the ocean. I still like that mauve background. It's giving it a bit of dimension here. Just a lot of color mixing with a dry brush. All right, that's turning kind of cool. I'm really liking this white poofy cloud here. You want to make something a little bigger, just kind of move your brush around. You notice I haven't rinsed out the brush at all. I'm just using what's on the canvas and what's on my brush. So that's looking good. I might want to drop in another white cloud here actually. Liking this, the look of this. It's nice. Nice and poofy. And we could even get a tinge of yellow. I'm still not washing out my brush, but you get like just a little bit of a light yellow. If we want to add some sort of sun up there, we'll see how this looks. Just be peeking. Peeking out from behind these clouds, a little bit of sun. Something like that. Do don't want to do too much sun, but have it sort of sparkling on these clouds. And then likewise, we could put a little on the water, just a touch. If it's looking too much, you can just sort of use your finger and sort of dab it. Okay. Some little reflection there. All right. Okay guys, so this is looking pretty complete to me. You could keep going and adding more and more detail. And then we can add a little signature here at the bottom. Each piece turns out different, and that's why I love to paint. Add your little initials down here. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this little ocean scene, and I hope that you'll try out a few more classes. I'm liking how this is looking. You could always add to it, or if there's places where you feel like you got too much, might have got a little too much yellow there, but we're just having fun and we're learning, and I hope that you learned a bit about waves and oceans today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.